some guy that's going to play a playlist. Make sure that you hire someone that can get the job done and take care of your every total request. We are Total Request Entertainment. For booking and contact information, call Eleazar Maldonado at 414-366-7102. 414-366-7102. Or visit the website at TotalRequestENT.com.
Let me ask you something. Would you like to build a podcast? And if you have one built, wouldn't you like to get as much exposure for it as possible? Because HiddenHeartRadio.com is plugging local and national podcasters with the opportunity for more web and radio exposure. With our staff of cameramen and audio experts, we supply the technical tools needed for your podcast to reach a much wider audience. Now, you have a studio set location and access to professionals using professional equipment to film and record your show. And you get to go and upload it wherever you want. But I bet you're wondering how much all this top-notch access will cost you. Well, that's the special part, $60 an hour. That's right. You can access our studio, our staff members, and our equipment for $60 an hour to film and record your podcast. So let me ask you again. Would you like to build a podcast? Good. Call 414-366-7102. That's 414-366-7102 to make an appointment with Eleazar Maldonado to get you started.
Make sure you tune in to the morning shift, MKE Uncut, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on HiddenHeartRadio.com. You can also watch on Facebook from the Post of the City page. Hey.
What you doing still in bed, man? Yo, you need to punch in for that morning shift MKE with Sayer right here on HiddenHeartRadio.com exclusively from 10 to 2 p.m. Check it out, man. You're missing out.
Good morning, Grand Risings. Assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim brothers, sisters, man. Everything y'all say. To the folks you rock with in the AM, after, and never before. Remember, after and never before. You take care of your hygiene, because don't nobody want you in their face with all that. So get it all together, and then you come see about that. Good morning, Grand Risings, all that to you. As y'all can see, we've been talking about it for a while. Y'all be asking questions. And I have to admit, I'm one of them guys that I'll tell you when I don't have the answer. I'm quick to say, I don't know. Sometimes I can know and say I don't know because I just don't feel like standing there that long with you. But that's another thing. But y'all been asking me about it. Y'all been talking about it. Polygamy. You got all these groups on social media. You got all these people talking poly life and showing up here and there, displaying their beliefs of polygamy. I said, I gotta find an expert. And in my search for an expert, it was one not far from me, and my brother and his wives. He got a program, Outstanding Personal Relationships. As you can see, some of you know him, Brother Nadir. Y'all have seen his coaching videos. Y'all have participated in some of his workshops. And he been showing y'all a real good example of it. And like I said, I didn't have the answers. So as soon as the opportunity came to me, I called on the brother and he showed up. So today, man, we wide open with it. We talking polygamy. We gonna hear all y'all misunderstandings, and then we gonna let him give y'all the true definition. Phone lines is open, 414-502-9447. Y'all can follow along, man. We live on Facebook, Hidden Heart Radio, on the website, HiddenHeartRadio.com, on Twitch, we are the Post of the City, and YouTube, WHHPTV. I'm going to be checking the comments. Hey, let's get off into it, man. Y'all wanted to know. Don't get shot now. Let's hear it. Everybody thought they knew what they was talking about. When I told y'all was just some freaks doing some nasty stuff, y'all was like, I ain't know what I'm talking about. But okay, I'm going to shut up and let the experts give it to you. Assalamu alaikum, Maki.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And peace for those of you who do not know me, whom I have not had the pleasure of meeting just yet. I am Coach Nadir. I'm the coach that helps people get their shift together, help them develop confidence, deeper connections, and dictate their cash flow without having to worry about forced monogamy or jobs, so they can live life at a higher level. So with that being said, I'm one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships.
And I'm Coach Fatima. I'm one of his wives. Wives or wives?
His wife.
It's going to be wives today. One of his wives, and 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships.
And I am his other wife, Coach Nyla. And of course, one of the coaches of Outstanding Personal Relationships. And I help and coach women to have deeper connections, confidence, and fulfillment in their marriages, whether it's monogamy or polygyny.
All right. Now that's the introduction. Y'all got the names right. I'm glad they got able to give them to them, because I'm known for slaughtering names up here. It ain't nothing personal. It's just, for some reason, it's what I do. I just can't get names right. All right. So let's dive right in and talk. First off, let's get off into your program and why you started it. Outstanding Personal Relationships.
Okay, good stuff. The reason we started Outstanding Personal Relationship is because there were no resources. There were very, very few resources, and no resources on actually how to practice polygyny in a practical fashion in modern times. You know, so there were things that talked about the rules and regulations and so on when it came to Islam, but there was not something teaching you to deal with the practical situation so far as, you know, emotional control and leadership, deeper communication, or the differing dynamics. So after struggling the first several years trying to figure things out, once we did get things, you know, at an acceptable and good level, we decided, you know, all right, we can either share this to help more people out and get more blessings in that fashion, or we could do like most successful polygynous couples and kind of just go ghost, be behind the scenes and be real private. And we opted for the former just because we would have wished we had something to help us in our journey. So that turned into Outstanding Personal Relationships and our book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is people ask about that, or you have a lot of people that talk about, well, you don't see a lot of you see a lot of negativity when it comes to polygyny, or you see a lot of it done wrong, so to speak. And that was the thing. And they said, well, you guys are really putting yourselves out there. We're very private for the most part, regardless of what people might think, because we are out there a little bit more in the public eye. But because of that, we discussed that before we even started Outstanding Personal Relationships, and really putting it out there to see if we were ready to even deal with that, because we know we were going to be met with scrutiny. We knew we were going to be met with people who didn't understand and things like that. But we had to discuss it amongst each other and ourselves and say, you know what, is this something we are willing to go through, grow through, and teach other people, even though we know people don't understand it. And if they're willing to do it, that's fine. If they're not, that's fine too. But we know how to deal with that. But we prepared ourselves for that before we started.
Okay, that's great. You want to add to
Yeah,
that?
they knew that, and we also knew, like what Coach Nyla added, we let them know that they were going to have some pushback from us in regards to the respect that we wanted and we were going to have on our platform, because that's what happens. This topic, it's hard to discuss and communicate with our loved ones about, our community about, because there's a major lack of respect.
Now, when you say your community, your loved ones, are you meaning like the Muslim community, or you like
there are some leadership. There is some leadership in the Muslim community, in the Muslim world, that won't even discuss polygyny with their community, and it makes it very difficult, and they won't marry people into polygyny. It makes it very difficult.
I was unaware.
See, we talking about all communities, though.
Yeah,
right.
This is
I
a
don't care talking
global
about the black
thing.
community. Period.
Yes, I was totally unaware, like, because like most people, you don't really, like you said, if you're not involved, you don't really get into it unless you come across some brothers who might got more than one wife, and you sit down and talk to them and stuff. But average person don't really get to, you know what I mean, get to come across somebody. So that's the other reason why y'all program so great, because now
Well,
it's
the
an
main
answer.
thing is we pro morals.
Okay.
Okay, so even though the average person doesn't come across it, I guarantee that the average person is absolutely familiar with somebody that they related to that's cheating.
Yeah.
They got somebody on the side, somebody that's quiet about it, knows about it, but wants to keep up appearances and the status quo. You know, they know about people that's creeping on the DL, all kind of things that go on that are immoral. See, the thing with polygyny is that it's not attractive to those who want to play games and cheat and so on, because now it makes a man responsible. You know what I'm saying? This is honorable. This is marriage. It's simply a form of marriage. So being pro morals, it doesn't matter if you practice monogamy, polygyny, or what have you. The main thing is that you're doing it in an honorable and noble fashion. And since our community is so okay with not doing it that way, our community, not just our community as in Muslim community and Black community, but period in the West in general.
Okay.
You know, you wouldn't have shows. Imagine having shows like Maury Povich if you were a pro moral society.
Right.
You know, children not knowing who their fathers are.
Right.
You know, the expansion of all these different diseases and all those things that run wild. So being pro-moral means you want to step up to the next level. You're requiring more of yourself than the average. Because polygyny is not for the average man at all.
And I be telling people that, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not even married, but I just got sense enough to know. If y'all knew the little that I did know, I mean, y'all wouldn't be as interested.
Well,
not the ones that ain't, you know what I mean, completely ready. Because most people, let's just be honest, they think it is what they see on TV and all that, and like it's just a big old party going on over there, and man, he living like a king, you know what I mean? He having it his way. That's the misconception everybody think, because I can be out in the streets and see that, because like people come into the grocery store, they come around, you know what I mean, and do what they do in front of people, you know what I mean? But
yeah, we live in that place. We got the pouring gas station right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's one of the things too, because people look at it as big pimping or whatever.
Yeah.
They see these different things because whatever imagination they put out there, I'm not realizing that it's a lot of responsibility that comes from that. And the reason why, you know, polygyny, the interesting, some of the things is polygyny is looked at, or at least, I don't know if you want to call it shunned or whatever, is because a lot of people don't want to take the responsibility. So it's like, okay, let's make it look bad. So, you know, people will be so against it. So we don't have to, you know, have something where we have to be held accountable. So yeah, you know, this person can go out and cheat and have kids over here and kids over there and not have to legitimately, you know, be responsible for them. And instead of, you know, marrying someone, being honorable, being respectful, being responsible, and still having to make sure this family dynamic is maintained. You know, you see so many broken homes and things as far as that. You have people say, oh, I can't believe that a man would want to have multiple wives, or I can't believe why women want to share a man, or these type of things like that. But we look at polygyny as an ancient solution to a modern day problem. You have a lot of things going on where you have single parent households, you have high incarceration rates, you have all these different things, and people say, well, where's the daddy at? Where's the father at? And a lot of times it comes to that, where you have these responsible men. It's not for everybody. It's for those who are responsible. It's for those who want to be more. It's for those who want to be better. So yeah, so it's not for everybody. We're never telling people that it's for everybody, but it's definitely for those who are looking to stand up and step up.
Yeah, the average man won't make it. I'll just say it plainly. The average man is not going to make it if he wants to be a king. Then kings have layers upon layers of responsibilities. They do indeed, and they're willing to practice discipline in order to keep that title. And so this is not for lazy people. You know, specifically men that have so much that they have to do, because it's not just about wives. There's children involved in many cases. So polygyny, you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again, is not just happening to the parents, it's happening to the children and the family as well. So you would want strong leadership from the husband and the father in the family, because his roles are not just one role of husband, he has a dual role. So that's important. I need to just say that too.
Yeah. And we can share our story a little bit deeper so people really kind of know that.
Yeah, that was my next question. Go ahead.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, yeah. Again, I'm Coach Nadir, and I'm the oldest of 6 children. My parents had me when they were teenagers. All right, so Puerto Rican mother, Black American father, raised up Christian, all the way through high school. Well, until I got kicked out after 10th grade. But went on kind of a self-discovery journey when it came to religion, what I believe in and so on, because what I was following at the time just allowed me to do whatever I want. As long as I believed and was baptized, I'm good to go. There was no reality in my behavior. There was no accountability, I should say. And that's not something, it didn't agree with my nature. So long story short, I went to try to go and disprove the Quran or disprove Islam after I studied a lot of religions and disowned organized religion. I became Muslim. And that provided a moral code and an example with Islamic law and jurisprudence through this man, Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. So it allowed a lifestyle that was from over 1,400 years ago, that was packaged that agreed with my reality, agreed with nature, agreed with science, all these types of things. So that is what led me to exploring more, if you will. And I heard about polygamy at that time, but I remember coming up, seeing the show Three's Company. You know what I'm saying? Where the kisses are hers and his, Three's Company. All of that stuff. And it's like, that's interesting, but whatever. But I didn't know anybody that practiced it. Nevertheless, so I got married to Coach Fatima when I was 19. So we've been married almost 3 decades now. Met her in high school. So I've known her more than half my life. Right? But after 15 years, I chose to practice polygyny. I had met Coach Nyla. Of course, she has her story. Everybody's going to share their story with you. And then we got married. There's a whole different dynamics. Didn't have anybody to look to, nobody to mentor me, very few books that dealt with anything, nothing really in how to practice it in reality in modern times. So it was a lot of struggle, a lot of back and forth, using a lot of business concepts and things I was learning through personal growth. And then after some years getting things together, and then now, practicing polygyny, and then I have a total of 10 children with my wives. So 10 biological children and 2 bonus children that came as part of the family once I married Coach Nyla. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stereotypes that go along with that, but that's just kind of my background, a little bit into it. I want to go into their shine, so they'll share their stories with you in a little more detail as well.
Go ahead.
I'll go first.
And then these cameras.
Coach Fatima, as Coach Nadir said, been married almost 30 years, and knowing him over that long, maybe 33 years. I don't know. It's been long. I've been here a long time. My parents were never married. They broke up by the time I was 3, other with my paternal grandparents. By the time I was 11 months old, as my father really wanted that for me, because my mother was not prepared to mother me at that time. So I'm grateful to my grandparents for raising me and instilling what they did in me. However, they had a broken home as well. They were divorced the year I met Coach Nadir. Their divorce was finalized at the beginning of that year. So I was in a very transitional age, and I was dealing with a lot of trauma. So I didn't want the marriage that failed. So fast forward 5 short years later, we established our family, had our firstborn child, which was a daughter, very brave, fearless, beautiful daughter, and we continued to have our children from there. So family meant a lot to me because I came from that brokenness twice. So this was not a marriage that I was willing to throw away because he got married again, which is allowed in our culture. However, that doesn't mean that it was an easy transition into polygyny. But I can respect any man that wants to make a decision that is one that should be respected, specifically in Islam, as we all are practicing Muslims. So family means a lot to the 3 of us, and to make sure that we get clarity and have these difficult conversations. We'll get into that more, but family meant so much to me. So I don't wish to see anybody else's family break up. That's not what we're here to do. We've been kind of accused of that for putting out this information, but we're here to make it, less difficult if you're willing to do the work, because family means so much to us, indeed.
A little bit about my story. I was raised by a single mother who was raised by a single mother. So when I talk about the solution, polygyny being a solution to a modern day problem, that would have, I can see things going a whole lot differently, whether it would be polygyny or not, but actually having a responsible father in the household. And then the times of my growing up, it was, and in the place that we live, incarceration of black men was on an all-time high. So, you know, people that I grew up around who I felt were protectors, which were my cousins, my uncles, and people of that nature, because I do, I came from a blended family. Didn't realize our family was blended till I got into polygyny, and people were like, you know what, you're kind of used to this, or you're kind of was prepared for this because you grew up with different people that were super duper close. I mean, like cousins were like brothers and sisters and things as far as that. So, but going through a lot of the heavy, I guess, masculine energy that comes from women who are single parents. I took on a lot of that as well. I became a single parent at 20 and converted to Islam a few years later, got married, divorced, became a single parent again, and had to deal with those things until polygyny. Until I met Coach Nadir. I just had met him way before, so it's the story. You guys will know more about the story in Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored, because the story is like, I'm not going to take up too much time with that.
A caller.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. You checked in to Hidden Heart Radio, the morning shift, MKE.
We need to put these on.
Hello, you there?
Really depending on who it's for.
Just for us.
You there? Hello?
Do we need to put these on?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Put your headphones on to be able to hear the call. Yeah.
All right, if y'all want to call in live, the number's on the screen.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. First of all, this is Talib Dean Elamine from St. Louis, Missouri.
Say again a little slower for me.
Yeah. This is Talib Dean Elamine from St. Louis, Missouri. How y'all doing?
Assalamu alaikum, Maki. You're doing well.
Hey, what's love? What's love? Talib Dean, alhamdulillah. How you doing, bro?
Wa alaikum assalam. Good, alhamdulillah. I apologize. I had a bad connection. First of all, I want to thank the guests for their work and really breaking down the barriers of misunderstanding and giving a depth of knowledge and understanding on the issue of polygyny. I've watched and learned a lot, and it has inspired me to study. So I want to first say that. Secondly, the question is probably a common question that has probably come from the male perspective, and somewhat basic also. What is the first thing that you would tell men to do in preparation for the responsibility of entering into polygyny? What do you think are the three essentials to have in place before you even have that discussion?
Okay, good stuff. So the question is,
with your spouse.
Okay, so what are the three things that I would suggest, or you're asking me specifically?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, from the male perspective. So what are the three things that I would suggest for men that are considering polygyny? Now, the last part, she said something about wife. Is that are you asking me what I would tell a man?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right. And then the last part of that question is, the initial conversation with the current spouse.
Okay. And then what would the initial conversation
piece of advice, single advice you did?
All right, good stuff. Well, first, what I let young brothers know is they have to be, when it comes to practicing polygyny, one is that, as my wife state quite a bit, you have to be more than twice the man to do so. It's not for the average man. All right. Mm-hmm. The average man may desire, want it all he want, but it's not about being average. It's about rising above the mediocre masses. All right. So the very first thing is increasing his leadership. All right, his leadership ability, meaning the first person he has to lead is himself. So that goes into self-discipline, self-awareness. So these are big things, but under these things, each has like a subsection beneath it. So increasing your leadership position, because if you aren't able to lead yourself, you're definitely not going to be able to lead a family, even if you're already married or if you're single. One, you must increase your leadership abilities. Number two, increase your emotional intelligence. All right, as men, generally, all of us have emotions, or we operate on emotions, right? But we demonstrate them in different fashions. Men emote in different fashions, okay, than women. So we need to understand that. So that, if you increase your emotional intelligence, that means you have to become better at communication, active listening, knowing when to deal with different battles and different challenges versus just jumping in something and being reactive, okay? And the third thing is to make sure you are increasing your financial acumen. I can't teach ambition. I don't think there's any type of healing if somebody doesn't have ambition, doesn't have drive. I don't believe in motivational talks. I believe maybe someone can inspire you to find your own motivation, because motivation is internal. But if you don't have funds or a way to get them, or you're working on something that's going to work beyond you, I mean, because the reality is most people have jobs because their money is unemployed. So these are the three things I would state that men should start with to begin with. If you are doing that, one, that makes you more attractive. And I'm not saying that just from my own personal perspective, because as we're sitting here, yeah, I practice polygyny, but we just shared that there are a dozen children behind us. So if all of them were there, that's 15, right? 15 people total dealing with this polygynous union. However, as a father responsible for 5 daughters, those things, and I'm responsible for them as a wali, right? So as that guardian, these are the things that are attractive to me in the men to have to marry my daughters. And 3 of them prefer polygyny versus monogamy. They've never been in a relationship. So 2 of my daughters are already married in monogamy. That's what they wanted. And then I have other daughters I'm responsible for. So those things make you more attractive. Now, when it comes to communicating with your wife, the first communication is interesting, because I'm doing a challenge of next week regarding communication and polygyny. But the first conversation you have to have is with yourself, and taking a report card on those previous things I mentioned. Those are leadership, emotional intelligence, and getting your money up, right? Having a conversation with yourself, because having a conversation with your wife can go a number of different ways. You need to know her temperament, who she is, what's the history, all kind of stuff goes into it, because these are brand new dynamics. So there's no cookie cutter with that. But the main thing is to have the conversation even before. Like, if you are not intending to practice polygyny, you still have a conversation about polygyny. Find out who you married. Many times things won't come up throughout the entire marriage until polygyny or something is discussed or known about, or so on and so forth. So having that discussion, she could also initiate the discussion, because if you are unable to have to communicate about any topic in your marriage, then it's highly likely that your marriage is not as strong as you think it is, or you're not as close friends as you think you may be. So prayerfully that helped out here.
Still with us?
Well, yeah, I definitely appreciate that, and that helps out a great deal and give me clarity. Outside of a lot of clarity that you and your wives have given over the time that I've had the benefit of being able to listen to, so I definitely appreciate that. And having the courage, even in our community, the Muslim community, you find people outside of our community that are more open and understanding to the benefits of polygyny. So I definitely appreciate that.
It's sad but true. Thank you for the question, Afi. Appreciate you. Barakallahu feekum.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. Phone lines are open, 414-502-9447. You can call, you can text, you can jump in the comments of any live stream. All right. And where we was at before the call, she was speaking, I believe.
I was like, what was I saying? I forgot. But yeah.
The blended family.
Blended family. No, then I was talking about how I said the more of the story is in the book, of course. However, I knew Coach Nadir and Coach Fatima before even the thought of polygyny came, like, this was even before I married into my first marriage. So, but after my divorce, I thought about, this is, this person exudes this leadership, loves his family, takes care of his family, loves his wife. I love her, what she does and what she stands for. I have this sister, a lot of other stuff. And I'm like, hey, let's see if this, he can say no. That's kind of how that goes. And then
wait a minute, let me pause. Pause, hold on, bag up.
Right.
You said he could say no.
Yes, he could say no.
You asked.
No, my wali asked. My wakil.
Well, yeah, the request came from your
yes,
end, is what I'm saying.
me.
Okay,
Yes.
alhamdulillah.
So that's the thing, because the family dynamic, the leadership was there. I always talk about checking off boxes. And what women should understand, just period, whether they get into, whether it's polygyny, monogamy, or whatever, is that you have to look at the bigger picture of it all, not just, oh, this person is cute, oh, this person is whatever. It's like, what is our legacy going to look like? Can this person lead? Nowadays, you have so many people on this boss babe this, or this boss be this, or this modern woman thing, and it's more masculine energy coming from the women that causes a lot of confusion and disruption when it comes to the natural family dynamic of it all. So looking at the bigger picture of it all, I'm like, okay, this family is amazing. My daughter can have some sisters, and it was I had a whole vision of stuff in my head. So the thing is that, talked to my wakil, he presented the information to him, and then, long story short, we got married. Yes, we talk about different things of how things could have been different as far as how the beginning of the polygyny journey was, because it wasn't the beautiful thing that I had going on in my head. So that's that part. It took a while before it to get to where it is right now, but in my mind it was always that. It would have always been that way. So since I saw it that way, if I knew it would be anything else, or if I felt it was going to be anything else, that wouldn't have been something I would have wanted to pursue anyway. And knowing that you have a person who has these leadership skills, and you also have this family dynamic that respects that, you can see even if it starts off rocky at first, you can see how it can grow to be something beautiful, because all of the other pieces are there.
You got to be able to see the potential. That's the thing. If you're with people that have potential and that are teachable and coachable and want the best for the family and know they're accountable to Allah, we're practicing Muslims, so we don't hide that. So I have to speak to the fact that we all knew we were accountable for whatever disturbance or disruption or dysfunction that was going to go on within this family. We knew we were the ones in control of stopping that. So I think that Coach Nadir knew full well that what is attractive is not having someone that is going to create drama within the family that was already established. That's really important. So
Right.
he knew off the jump, and I knew that Coach Nyla could do this. We've not perfected anything.
No.
I don't want to come off like that
Well, it
either.
looked pretty good from where we all
Right,
sit.
but we're still people, and we
Alhamdulillah.
still have emotions, we still have traumas, and we still have work that we need to do. This is the thing. We're not finished. We're not at the plateau where we're like, oh, we got this, it's perfect. No, it's actually, we're all doing our own individual work on ourselves individually, and then we come together and we make sure that the health of our family is good and positive. So people want this overnight success. There isn't one overnight success, right? There's work that we all have done individually, and my work doesn't look like Coach Nadir's work and doesn't look like Coach Nyla's. The work that I have to do on me.
Now let me poke around a little bit. Now you two were together first. I just found out the request came from over there. How did that, when you found out about that, what was you mentally at that point?
Here's the thing. When we're talking about, right now you're looking at our chapter 13.
Right.
Okay, chapter 13 look different than chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. All right, it's like you watching a movie, and the drama happened at the beginning, or the tragedy happens, and this, and you kind of get through it, and you kind of get, it's life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when we're speaking, we showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not just, oh, yeah, look, it's great. No, it's not. There's a lot of stereotypes, a lot of myths, a lot of ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that goes on. So in answer to your question, I got married first. I married Coach Nyla, then informed Coach Fatima afterward.
Okay, now talk to us about that.
Do we encourage that?
We don't.
No.
Okay.
Is there a time and place for that? Yeah. However, is it best practice? No. You know what I'm saying? Because again, there are dynamics you're not familiar with.
Now,
where
was you at when you made the decision to just do it that way? Like you didn't
mentally, no, because I'm like, all right, cool. There's a stereotype that says, oh, men don't care about the wife's feelings.
Right.
All right. Well, if they didn't, then it'd just be rash. It'd be nothing. You just fall in line. It is what it is. Then you're a tyrant.
They'll say, and the sister had brought this up, speaking to Coach Nadir's point. She said, sister, some brothers will come and say, I got married, get over it. They'll just speak like that out their mouth. So she was like, you lucky. And I'm thinking, he's kind of, we're both lucky. We don't have that spouse, right? But he's not that guy. So she was like, and I didn't know that was a thing. I'm married, get over it. It's done, you know? So, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so instead of what would have been better, like we dealt, prior to me getting married in polygyny, I already knew it was a hot topic with her. From experiences so far as me stating it once before, me even putting it in music or having it in my journal as a goal, stuff like that, right?
You was sneaking it in.
And women, you know, people say that to this day. You look around like, make sure your wife ain't around when you talk to, or nah, I don't know, they ain't gonna invite Coach Nadir to the party because that's gonna be a problem. He can't come to the picnic because, you know, it might rub off on you like your husband don't already know about polygyny. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, we don't want my husband to catch the polygamy bug, right? It's weird. But the thing is that when you are being proactive about it, and how we coach and teach about it now is that when I said to the brother when he asked the question, when it comes to communication, if you can't have the discussion about it, then there's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Right.
All right. You need to be getting closer in your marriage, monogamy or whatnot, to be able to have a discussion. Okay, and not having some crazy emotional yelling match, a big old shouting thing, but be able to at least have a discussion about it. So, like someone asked, you know, how do you prepare the wife and the kids? The way you prepare the wife and the kids is, listen, when you're telling your children about marriage, since we're pro-morals, you let them know about monogamy and you teach them about polygyny.
That's it. Yeah.
It's really
So
simple.
she did that.
It's in any scripture. It doesn't matter. We have a lot of people that are part of our community, stuff like that. They may be Hebrew Israelites. They may follow different faiths, right? And we don't follow the same book necessarily, but every single scripture that's revealed deals with polygyny in one way or another. So it's already there. The question is, how do you deal with it today? So I encourage, one, you need to take a report card of yourself, introspection of who you are as a man.
Yeah.
All right. And by increasing your emotional ability, that means you are able to communicate. That doesn't mean you capitulate to everything, or, you know, it's death by 1,000 concessions. I'm gonna give her whatever she want, because then he'll run over you.
Who want to be married to?
You know what I'm saying? You'll be a punk.
To a man like that anyway.
Right.
That's
So
not attractive.
with that though, having a conversation in advance is better. One, it helps you with your relationship. For example, I have a client, good brother, alhamdulillah. He just recently got married. All right. He's married similar time I've been, almost 3 decades. Right. He took his wife out the country, did a number of different things, so on and so forth, prepared her and all this kind of stuff in advance. That doesn't mean it's easier. It just means he still had to deal with it up front and in advance, which is better than dealing with it later. Because now you'll find out sorely like, man, look, this is what it is, and especially as a Muslim, like, this is lawful, and the brothers come in, hey, get over it. It is what it is. Prophet did it this way. What you expect, right? That's not showing enough compassion and concern for your wife, raise your children, all these things that women do in general, your wife would do, right? So then you have to deal with trust issues or other ill feelings and negativity and stuff like that after the fact, should you do it that way. So it's better to avoid that by being proactive, demonstrate more courage up front, getting that stuff and dealing with it to handle it.
Well, I'm a not rebut or push back. The main thing that can be an issue is that if your husband presented himself this way this long and then he doesn't, then you feel as though, and it might not be a fact, that he's violated possibly his own principles that he set as a man for himself, all this time. He's always been this guy. But with the hard conversation that Coach Nadir mentioned, which is important, because I'm going to get on the women a little bit, right?
We love it when they get on the women. Somebody got to get on them.
I'm going to get on them a little bit here. We want the hard conversation. We want them to talk to us, but let's be willing to handle those hard answers. Because you're not going to hear everything you want to hear. And your husband, and this is speaking to Coach Nyla, myself, and any woman that is married or any woman that wants to get married within the sound of my voice, he's not going to be the man you married that day. He's going to change. And prayerfully, he changed for the better. And he sticks to who he says that he is. And builds on that. And builds on that. Because if he's an honorable brother, see, I already knew my husband was a good dude. So I'd known he was attractive to other women in high school as a 14-year-old. So this wasn't anything new to me. I've been here many times. I'm still here. He's still getting offers. And we sit next to him on either side. I had one ask me, and you know, I can be a little something else sometime, right? She came up and she asked me, and she was like, do you think he would probably marry me? And I'm thinking in my mind, child, I wouldn't throw my hat in the ring if I were you, because I already know what the things are.
Right.
And you didn't have the things, but that's his choice. I'm just no shade, no tea. Yeah. And I'm not throwing any ecosystems at anybody either. But I knew, based off of his pattern of behavior, I don't know if you should ask him. Right? And I joke, but I'm very serious when I say that if we're going to talk about polygyny, whether we're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or whatever the case may be, Hebrew Israelite or non-denominational. If you're going to talk about polygyny with your husband, be willing to sit there, talk, listen, and then you can get your concerns out, and maybe he can dispel some of those concerns off the jump. And then this won't be so hard. The reason it's hard is because we're not talking about it. We're all sweeping it under the rug. The men don't want to talk about it, or they don't have courage, or they're not brave enough. And then it's like, are we going to listen if they do decide to talk about it? Because at the end of the day, I couldn't have did nothing about him getting married to her, just like nobody could have did nothing about me getting married to him. Right. I didn't marry his mother, his father, his aunties, and all of the rest of them. I married him. So for me, their opinion was not that their opinion about my marriage didn't matter to me, because I didn't ask their permission to marry him. So with their marriage, that didn't have nothing to do with me outside of what affected me in our children, right? So it's a good thing that we're saying now, don't do it this way where you're not communicating. You know, communicate, but be willing to listen just as much as you want to speak.
All right.
I love that you said that too, and the getting on the women part. A lot of times when we discuss
Hold on 1 second. Excuse me, just 1 second.
Are you pulling them more callers?
I had to give a round of applause for getting on the women.
And it's crazy because we'll have women that will come and, you know, they'll throw their shade or talk about pygmies and these different things like that. It's what it is. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit, because when they go into the pygmy, everybody wants to be picked. When you're playing games and you're part of a team, you want to be picked. So we got to get out of there and stop trying to degrade people by calling them that. So we'll just leave that alone. However, I love that my co-wife said that, because she, when we do certain things, because people know that she is the initial wife, because I say initial, additional, and potential. So because she was the initial wife, people we could say the same thing, the exact same thing, and they'll say, Coach Nyla, you don't have the right to speak on it. We want to hear from Coach Fatima. She said it many, many times before. Go look at the videos. You know, and pretty much we're on the same page with a number of things. However, a wife is a wife is a wife. People have an issue with that, because it's like, well, I've been here first and I did this stuff. Understandable. No one's taking that away from you. However, your husband and you guys built this stuff together, and he still took part of it. You didn't create him. It wasn't a build a husband workshop.
No, because you could have stopped him if you created him.
Right. So it's these different things where we have to stop getting on each other as women and beating up each other as sisters. We go into these things where we talk about the sisterhood, but the sisterhood is the sisterhood until the sister decides to want to be with your mister. And so now it's an issue.
Bars.
Type of thing. And the thing is that if we're talking about being there for each other, wanting for our sister what we want for ourselves, the thing is about minding your marriage. Because my co-wife and I are monogamously married to Coach Nadir. He is the one practicing polygyny, not us. So when it comes down to it, to be able to have these discussions, I'm not going to blame Coach Fatima for any issues that I have, or that any issues that could arise or whatever in the marriage that we share, that Coach Nadir and I share, just as much as she wouldn't blame me for any type of issues that may arise or challenges that may arise, because we believe in minding our marriage. We believe in minding it and minding it, making sure that we're taking care of it, we're doing the things that we need to do, because we're separate. You know, we're different individuals. You know, he didn't marry me to have another Coach Fatima. And then he didn't marry me to say, oh, well, I'm still married to you, Coach, or, you know, Fatima or Coach Fatima or whatever. Then you got to be like her because this is the... That's not how it operates. That's not what we do. So people got to get out of the crazy mindset of thinking that it's always a versus when it comes to that. We are a family. We look at each other as a family, and we build together as that. When you want success in polygyny, you're going to look at, and there's going to be some ups and downs, whether it's polygyny, monogamy, or anything, you know. You're going to have challenges and ups and downs. You just got to be mature enough to know how to go and grow through them. And that comes from working together, the communication, having the hard conversations. Coach Nadir said it earlier about if you can't have these conversations without it being a whole bunch of drama, then your relationship ain't as tight as you thought it was, and then maybe that's a wake-up call.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment. I'm going to speak to what Coach Nyla said. They typically do this to her when I'm not sitting next to her. Right? So big sis ain't sitting there. It's like, well, let me get on there because, you know. And in some, and I'm gonna say this, in some strange way, they think that's what I want, for them to get on her for me. Cause see, if I was her, I ain't never hit nobody about Coach Nadir, and I never will. Because if the issue is at hand, it's between me and him. It has nothing to do with her, right? Because nobody put a gun on anybody for them to get married, you know. So when they pick at her, because that's what it is, it's picking. It's picking teams. They'll pick teams between us and start this dialogue in the comments. And I'm like, this is really high school. And this is why this can be so difficult for polygyny to be successful, because we're in high school and we're grown, but we lack in the maturity to treat each other with common decency and civility as wives. So that's why they'll say, well, you all white knight the men and you get on the women. Yeah, we get on the women because the women are the one complaining about polygyny. The men ain't, other than dealing with the women. Exactly. What you talking about? Let's keep it a buck, because that's what it is. So when Coach Nyla and I are, I couldn't sit next to her. Well, you not me. I can sit here because I've done my work, and she's done hers, and she's always been welcoming to me. I can't say the same. And I've spoken on that many times in many videos. But you gotta not let the world tell you when to get to know somebody else, even if it's your co-wife. So I don't ask permission to get to know anyone. So why should I ask permission and then I'm gonna pass up a good person because y'all don't like that we sitting in between this man? No, that's not how that works. Not effectively anyway.
Alhamdulillah. Just smiling. You gonna ask something? Hey, they doing so great. I feel you.
You're looking for a mic to drop.
Right. I gotta get another sound bite over here.
Mics
Right.
cost too much to drop up in here.
Right.
But we gonna do it symbolically.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that, you know, but the women will kind of get on us and say, well, you know, I've taken up for him.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that because, and Aki, you know what I'm talking about. I tagged you in a post somebody made on Facebook. I kind of used a post to push this, and she said, what did she say? Polygamy was for cheating men and insecure women.
Yeah.
Let me drink my water before I get over here to her.
Polygyny is for cheating men and insecure women. Here's the facts. Fact is, a cheating man is a cheating man.
Right.
That's somebody with no morals. Period.
We're gonna continue.
Okay, so we can be real and be like, okay, let's talk about monogamy, because monogamy basically allows you to have as many women and boyfriends, girlfriends, jump downs, whatever you want to have. You just have
Yep.
one legal wife and children that you're responsible for, but the other ones is not. So let's talk about famous monogamists. We can start with Derek Jackson. We're talking crazy about polygyny. Meanwhile, they involved with all kind of stuff. Him leading the charge, having mistresses having their abortions. Or we can talk about Bill Clinton, his half-black kid as well. Or what about Reverend Jesse Jackson, Pastor Carl Lentz? All right, we can talk about Muslims like Tariq Ramadan. You know, Jimmy Swaggart, Anthony Weiner. A hell of a name, you know, for a politician. You know what I'm saying? I'm just slanging it. You got John Edwards. Matter of fact, you got Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Absolutely 100% recorded by the FBI, who was following him, participating in all kind of orgies. Real talk is facts. You can go ahead and look it up. Freedom of Information Act. Information's out there. All right, but this is called forced monogamy. There's not anyone I didn't. There's Jay-Z. There's Kevin Hart. We can go on down the whole list of celebrities and those who are multimillionaires that have cheated. None of them practice polygyny. They absolutely have the means to do so. Millions and some even billions of dollars. Bill Gates, billions.
You know,
Right? So, yeah, he's really attractive. What Jay-Z say, I'm a billionaire, I'm cute. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no.
Well, he's
Women,
cute.
they got groupies when it come to money. We know
He
the
green
deal,
cute.
right? So with that being said, that's how monogamy look.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't say, low self-esteem. You got Beyonce married to Beyonce. People hold her as a 10. The
self-esteem.
late, great Kevin Samuels, for example, say low self-esteem. Yeah, they
Low
say,
self-esteem, but get the bag, sis.
no, then you
Stay
got...
with him and keep your bag.
Now, mind you, we live in a society where well over 100 million people are on some type of psychotropic drug. Mental illness of depression or body dysmorphia or
Clearly, yeah.
body positivity to be unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? So that's low self-esteem. Matter of fact, I will argue to say that if a woman is in a polygynous relationship and working on herself, she has not only more self-confidence, she's not worried about fitting in with the masses. You taking care of your family.
Right.
So the one person I would say who's actually a black African woman, president of the country, Tanzania, is the third wife of a man. She's the president of a country. She ain't got time for low self-esteem.
Hitting Hard Radio, the morning shift, MKE. Caller, you clocked in.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Nora.
I just want to say to the beautiful family that I love you all for the sake and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Likewise, sister.
I have always admired both of you sisters and your husband for being outstanding Muslims in the Muslim community.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
I've spoken to both of your wives, and they are beautiful, beautiful Muslim sisters.
Indeed.
And it's beautiful the way you all handle yourselves, conduct yourselves in the community. And I think it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's inspirational to women to have an understanding that we need to work together, not against one another. And you display it so beautifully. I had to call in and let you know that.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support too, sis. We really appreciate that, and we that
Always,
makes it,
always.
that makes this so. There's so much honor in bringing people together and bringing families together. So we really love to hear these words. Thank you so much.
When it's done the way you all do it, it is something that you can actually see yourself being a part of. Because when done correctly, it's beautiful and it's sunnah.
I got a question. Let me jump in here, right? Let me jump in here, Sister Nora. Now, you've known him for a while. Did y'all meet when he had both wives, or did you meet it individual when he just had one wife? At what point did you meet this couple? these? Is it a couple? How do you call
Actually,
it?
Family.
Family. Yeah. Right. Hey, I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning too.
I had the pleasure of meeting his first wife first, and got to know her and everything that she represent was positive, always had something positive to say. I love the way she conducts herself, the way she was raising her children, and just a beautiful sister overall.
Now, when you met, it was just the one wife. They wasn't co-wives yet, or they were co-wives.
They weren't co-wives yet.
All right.
No,
so when
not yet.
Okay, so now I'm setting you up for something here. Now, when y'all met, and you met her, y'all spoke, became friends, you admired her. Now, a new wife coming to the situation. Was you in that crowd that was over there trying to run her off?
No.
Okay.
Sister North stays away from the drama.
Yes.
Sister North stays away from the drama. You might find my name in a lot of drama, but it's not me. It's not me. No. I can remember initially feeling sorry for her when it first took place. As a woman, I didn't have the proper understanding that I do now, and I looked at it as a betrayal.
Right.
As she stated to me when we talked.
You was ready to gang up and jump them?
No, I wasn't. Never that, because it's the Sunnah, and I'm a Muslim.
Right.
I'm a Muslim. As a woman, my heart hurt because I didn't know how she felt. It wasn't until I spoke to her, and this was after the marriage had been going on for a while, and the way she stood up for that sister, oh my goodness, brother, beautiful. Beautiful. They have a love, they have an unbreakable bond. That's what people don't understand. When she sat down and explained how the dynamic worked, I was willing to be a second wife. She explained it so beautifully, and I was like, it was just so beautiful, the love that she had for her. People don't understand.
Yeah.
They have an unbreakable bond.
Yes.
This is all about Islam. Everything that they are doing is Sunnah. If you are against it, then you are against the Sunnah. And then you have to question yourself on your Islam.
Right.
So the people who criticize, they have no understanding. No understanding. She made me understand. And made me a believer. Alhamdulillah.
I'm going to just say that.
Yes.
I never thought that would be me because I entered into my community at 19. And I'm over 40 now. So I wasn't trying to share my husband with nobody and my daughter. I was because I came from this broken place. So all I knew was that I needed to protect them. So see, polygyny quit being about Coach Nadir, and it was completely about my relationship with Allah.
All right.
To this day, that's what it is for me, and that's another layer and the major reason why this does work. Because I said, well, Allah is trying to teach me something. But he knew that, because I'm his creation, that the way that I was going to listen was because it had to come through my husband and my daughter. So when the tests started coming through the people that help establish the entire family, it was like, wait a minute. This is deeper than just marriage. This is much deeper than just polygyny. It's about something I needed to see inside of me. So I really appreciate your kind words, sis. I think I do remember that day. I've had to sit several sisters down and kind of tell them, you can't be madder than I was. Now, come on now. You can't be more hurt than I was. And I know you want to because people fell in love with the story of the family and how it began. So I know why others were hurt by this. because it was like, oh, they met in high school and they're sweethearts and things, right? And I thought, and I know that we all were dealing in this dunya a little bit too much versus dealing in a lost akira and going, okay, maybe this is not just here to stretch this relationship or this initial marriage, but to stretch all of us. To stretch all of us. Allah is trying to give us something. And there's goodness in it. So for all the bad that people like to highlight, I thank all of you, our family thanks all of you that highlight the goodness in it and the work that we did and the love that we do have. Because let me tell you something real quick. They don't show up in them comments when I'm sitting there, because then I'm going to get on ya. Because that's still my sister. Coach Nadir could pass away tonight. Allah forbid. That's my sister regardless. So we have to carry on. So if it's not the three of us, it might be the two of us in whatever variation Allah wants it to be. So somebody's going to have to say goodbye in one way, shape, or form. But I'm going to defend my co-wife like I would anybody in my family because she's my family. So I just had to clear that up for the people that are new and don't know how I'm set up. So alhamdulillah.
And you explained that to me beautifully. You really did. You sat me down and you said, wait a minute. Ain't nobody gonna mess with my sister. Ain't nobody gonna mess with her. That ain't never gonna happen. That ain't never gonna happen. Let me tell you, that's my sister for life. You did explain that to me. And like I said, I went and did my own research, and this is sooner. So the people who had something to say, they really, really need to educate themselves on why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows more than one wife.
Right.
It's really
you know,
too.
It's not about being selfish. It's not about being selfish. It's about increasing the ummah.
Yeah, that part.
And when you look at it for what it really is, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Like I said, after talking to you, I said, this is something I would actually do. Wow, because you explained it so beautiful. I'm like, wow. And then, please don't be mad at me for sharing, but you said, I like my days off.
And do. Yeah.
I'm going to detail, but you like, man, I can do me.
Right.
I'm like, bit like that.
I think
have my me time.
Yeah, a lot of sisters benefit from the time where their husband is not at the house. You know, he's our husband 24/7, and we're his wives 24/7. But we do want to build a life. The two of us have our lives outside of, you know, being wife. We're mothers. We're entrepreneurs. We're authors. We're coaches. So we have things that we want to still accomplish and educate our children. So I know Coach Nyla had something that she wanted to add to that as well. I would love to hear what she had to say.
No, it's good. I'm just glad that, you know, even what Sister Noor was putting out there, stating that she just, you know, she went into finding out more information. She went into doing that thing, and that's doing that work. Because you will have people that will be immature and will say, well, whatever you're saying, that's whatever for you, and then we'll still keep going on with the negative or with the drama and things like that. So it's really good to see that. It's really good to show that.
Oh, give me the cord. Give me that cord.
And so that is a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful.
And another thing was, it's funny because I'm pretty much the introvert. It's like, you know, Coach Fatima is the extrovert. I'm the introvert. I don't be around many people. I'm not with the, you know, the circles and different things like that, because I just don't. Sometimes I'll try to have to force myself to kind of make friends or this type of thing, or she'll drag me. But I'm like, this is the type of person I am. It's what it is. But I remember when I talked about converting to Islam, a lot of the different decisions that I made, the major decisions that I made in my life, wasn't always the decisions that were of the like the majority really loved or really went to, you know, and things like that. My choice of converting to Islam, my choice of being in polygyny, these different things like that is not the quote unquote, I guess, fan favorite, if you will. But I remember when I converted to Islam and I said, I converted to Islam because of my love for Allah. So everything that I do comes from that. Or I try my best for it to come from that. So even when it came to polygyny, so people would go in there and try to make me out to be this bad person, make me out to be the home wrecker, make me out to be a snake or conniving or whatever the case may be. But my heart was never in a negative place. But because of what the West deems as, supposed to be acceptable and normal, and if you are dealing with someone who's already married or something like that, then you are you are harming people and you are hurting people and things like that, even though this is an honorable form, it's marriage. It's not that being a side chick or a mistress or a side piece or anything like that, baby mama. It's like, this is a wife. This person is a wife. And it's like you said, Sister Islam allows this. This is sunnah. So when it all comes down to it, I had to learn for myself, because as much as people say that, yes, I saw the hurt in Coach Fatima, saw these things, people were able to see that because that's what they were, that was natural for people to understand. No one looked at or even tried to see what the hurt would look like for somebody being so pushed and negativity spewed on them because they decided to practice a sunnah, or because they decided to practice something that Allah allows. So I had to go within myself and say, you know what I'm going to do is say, well, that's a you thing, and let me build on me, because it is a lot of hurt and a lot of pain doing something that you would deem to think is right. It wasn't anything negative. It wasn't to spew any hurt or pain or replacement or anything. But people have to understand it's other sides to this. And when we pick teams and we pick sides and not do the understanding, like you said, it's like I had to understand. She's sitting down with people who don't look at it that way. They just lack understanding. So I do appreciate you for seeking that knowledge, and also just being so kind and beautiful with everything.
And courageous.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot to get on here and talk about these things.
You're more than welcome. I feel honored to know the family. I really do. And I don't like being judged, so I don't judge. And like I said, the minute I did have an opinion, his first wife set me down and got me straight real good. Stuck me in real tight.
I'll be headhunting up in there. Like, who said something? I have to, because who's going to step up and do it? It's like, who's going to, because the subsequent wives don't have a voice, they don't have any rights, they don't have a brain. I mean, I always say this, I'm the dummy who stayed with him, she the dummy who married him. It becomes this thing, and it becomes a monster. So if we don't check it, we can't sit there and say, well, you didn't help me, you didn't check. Sometimes we got to be our own hero. And I'm always down for that. I'm always willing. So bring it on.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
All right, sister, thank you for calling. We'll get to a few more questions before they can get on with their day. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
All right. Alhamdulillah, man. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I like when folks call in and engage. You affected people. You affected people in a positive way.
Indeed. For more education though as well, we do have hundreds of videos on our YouTube channel, which is Outstanding Personal Relationships.
Yeah.
So that's the handle. But of course, we do have courses. We do offer coaching.
Yes.
And a book. So going to our website, outstandingpersonalrelationships.com, is where you can really get high-level information. So if you do want coaching with Coach Nyla or Coach Fatima, then feel free to visit the website. Let us know what's up. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. We are pro-education and we're pro-morals. All right? And we just going to be real, and offer as much as we can. However, you're not going to be able to just call in, talk to Coach Fatima, talk to Coach Nyla, and all that stuff. It's not free.
And
It's
not just
we got a family, and we got a lot of stuff to be dealing with, so that's why we
not just that. I also, Aki, I want to get into rules. You know what I mean? Like it's rules to things that a lot of folks don't know. And I say that because I can remember a time thinking back during the summer a couple years ago. I'm driving down Sherman, and I see some beautiful Muslim sisters selling corn. And I made a Facebook post. And I'm like, alhamdulillah, I see some Muslim sisters out selling corn. Right away, I come and comment. Alhamdulillah. That's my family. Oh, you know, something to the fact like they ain't available. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even me coming at that, you know what I mean, from that angle. I'm just was admiring the fact that when I see that here in Milwaukee, when I see Muslim women out doing something, it kind of excites me because I don't see it a lot. You know what I mean? I see it in like Atlanta and things like that, but not so much really here. And that ain't to say it ain't happening. It just mean I'm hanging out in the wrong places, but you know what I mean? Right, but so I say that to say, let people know rules to that, because like you said, they can't just, man, call and talk to your wives and things like that. Let them know how they got to conduct themselves with you.
There's a few things when we're talking about rules. One common question I know some people probably have: do y'all live together? So you want to answer that real quick while I'm responding online?
We don't. That's the short. We don't. We have traveled together. We have lived under the same roof temporarily within traveling. Coach Nyland and I had a ball. We were able to talk. We were able to cook together. But, you know, we always make this joke, and we always mean it because there's always truth in the joke. We banging into each other in the kitchen. So it's like I don't want my daughters in the kitchen with me too much. I'm like, y'all gonna have, somebody gotta move. But what I did, since Coach Nyla had the younger ones at that time, they were really young that time, I felt that I needed to make sure that she was comfortable to make the meals that her babies are used to. You know, they're my babies, but they're not my babies to biology. Right. My babies in the family, so that she could move about. So it wasn't like, oh, it's my turn to cook for him. We didn't care about none of that. We cared about if our family ate. Right. So we worked as a team, and we moved out of the way of one another, and it was a really beautiful dance that we did as we traveled, and we just made sure that it was peaceful. One thing we did as co-wives and decided to do is be peaceful toward one another and know that we're in a safe space when we are communicating with one another. If there's an issue, we talk about it, and we typically end up laughing through the entirety of it if we can. But to be under the same roof was not difficult for us. However, in our day-to-day lives and 5K, we have to have our own private personal spaces in which we can just let our hair down and just relax. And I think that's good for us as women to have that space from one another and have that privacy.
Yeah, and being able just to communicate. That's when it all comes down to communication is key. Communication, respect, that trust. That's very, that's kind of the foundation, the pillars of it for the most part. And because Coach Fatima and I can communicate on pretty much anything, whether we homeschool. So even when that is a thing, is that we go back and forth of what the curriculum is going to look like, what can be added here, and these different things like that, what the schedule looks like, what the timing can be, and all this other stuff. It's a family dynamic. Once you create it, or once you look at it that way, and it's so, I think right now, because like we talk about, don't compare your chapter 1, 2, 3, or whatever the case may be to our chapter 13. We've done it so much that it comes natural. It's just effortless. Right now, it's just an effortless thing. Yeah. But at first, you have to definitely communicate a whole lot more, because a number of things. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. You want to make sure that certain things are, what's the word I'm looking for? That you are on the same page with a number of things. You have different energies and attitudes and likes and dislikes and those different things, and you won't know that if you don't communicate. You won't know those things, and being able to be open to hearing what that looks like, being open to saying, you know what, okay, being open to embracing the differences. A lot of people compare Coach Fatima and I a lot. It's like, oh, you guys would favor each other and you dress like that, and we really favor each other in some points. Yeah. But we don't really dress alike. Like, she is much more colorful than I am.
I wear more saturated colors. Coach Nyla wears more pastel.
And she's an artist. What she does shows in how she dressed, how she carried herself, all these different things. And we embrace the differences with one another. She's not
Yes.
trying to be me, I'm not trying to be her, we're not trying to be each other. None of those things happen, but we do understand the differences of what we do and what we are. You know,
Yes.
and being able to work together because you embrace that, because you understand that, that makes the family dynamic run smooth, even through rough times, you know, even through tragedy, even through challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to understand, I can be looking all screwed up in the face or something because it could be something else, and my girl would be like, "Okay, I'm trying
say,
to
who
figure
I
out
gotta
what's
whip?
going, what is going, who she, and that's
I gotta
and she
whip?
jokes.
That-
She be like, "Who I gotta whip?" Like that's her word, and it just make me laugh. And then sometimes it just because I
Yeah.
just got a lot going on in my head. She don't take it personally. She don't. Whatever. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do that, but you have to be confident within yourself. You have to be confident and embrace your individuality and know that you know. You the bomb, you know,
You
whatever it is,
stand
what
on
it
it.
is, like, you
You
know what
stand
I'm saying?
on it.
So you don't have to feel away when someone else is, whether even they having their day or whatever, like that's, you know, they have, it ain't, you know, this is their day, they're having something, let me see what's up, okay, it's not about me, let's keep it pushing, you know,
We got
type
stuff
of
to
thing.
do. We don't, this is
you
the
know.
thing, our worlds don't revolve around our husband. I think that's one of the worst thing women can do. When we hyper focus on them, I'm telling you, this can cause for the break of your marriage. Don't I don't hyper focus on anybody. So if I do, it's on what I need to do to be a better Fatima. So when I go, I wonder what he doing, those conversations typically happen after polygyny. Right? They're hyper focusing on because he ain't hyper focusing on you. You know why? Because he has a life, that he has responsibilities, and he's spreading himself everywhere. I always say this, it's like trying to grab 9 cats by the tail. He's not sitting there wondering what you're doing, when you're doing it, who you doing, who you talking to, and all this stuff like that. Because there's other things that you have to do. So as women, we have to plan our day and have other things to do. Is there education that you want? Do you want to get educated? Do you want to learn a skill? Do you want to raise your children? Do you want to expand on who you should be or who you want to grow into being? What do you want to do? Because when my days are done, I'm not going to be, on the day of Yom Kippur,